Senate is about Nigeria and Nigerians.
Good to have you join us on yet another interesting episode of Inside the Senate, a program that brings you reports and activities from the Senate Chamber of the National Assembly. I am your anchor, Hadiza Bayero Aliu. As the Senate continues its annual recess, we take you further in our review of activities carried out before the Red Chamber proceeded on break. As part of this review, we have an interview with Senator Abba Moro. In today's episode, we shall look at bills that focus on the development of tertiary education, with particular reference to the establishment of higher institutions of learning in different parts of the country. These and more coming your way shortly. Please stay tuned.
Promote the unity, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria.
The Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023.
And this act should be supported by all.
There are issues that we must use this opportunity to critically address.
We accord this motion the urgency and the necessity it requires.
I rise the second motion.
The ayes have it.
Thanks for staying tuned. In view of the Senate's annual recess, we shall continue to review its activities in the last quarter. In this episode, our focus is on its efforts to boost access to tertiary education. But before we do that, we have the reactions of the Deputy Senate President, Senator Barrow Jibrin, and the committee set to monitor the distribution of palliatives in Kano State, among other issues discussed during a meeting with stakeholders from the state.
We just held a meeting in respect to a committee set up by the government, by Mr. President, on how to distribute palliatives to the needy in respect of Kano State people. So we are here because the President is concerned about how the exercise is not being done properly. So he decided to set up this committee to ensure that there's equitable distribution of palliatives to the needy of Kano State. So you can see we've taken our time to create a modality that the palliatives will be taken down to the people that need the palliatives.
The Deputy Senate President further said,
you saw in the advert yesterday, it includes those who are in other parties, the NNPP, the ruling party in Kano State, PDP, members of IPAC, and others. So it's all inclusive. It's all inclusive. There's no politics attached to it at all. So Mr. President is determined to make sure that everyone that needs help gets help anywhere such person is.
Let me mention here that the 10th Senate, since inception in June 2023, has entertained close to 500 bills being introduced at first reading. A good percentage of those bills include a bill to establish an institution of learning. In the last quarter alone, over 20 such bills proposing the establishment of tertiary institutions have been introduced. They include the Federal University of Agriculture Akure Ondo State Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Adegbomire Adeniyi Ayodele; Federal University of Medicine and Medical Sciences Onisha Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Umoye Tony; Federal University Ukari Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator David Jimkuta; and Federal College of Education Karimilami Taraba State Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Isa Shaibulo. The Senate has also debated a bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic Onueke Ebonyi State for second reading. The bill seeks to provide full-time courses in technology, applied sciences, management and other fields of studies, and to make provisions for its general administration and for other related matters 2024. It is sponsored by Senator Eze Kenneth Emeka.
An initiative that holds significant potential in advancing human capital development and providing an assured future for the youth in Nigeria and the boys in Central in particular.
Taking a step further, the Senate, through various committees, has held public hearings to fine-tune some of these bills in readiness for passage. In our next report, we shall review the interactions that went on in 2 of these public hearings. Keep watching.
The Joint Senate Committee on Health and Education on Monday, 14th May 2024, held a one-day public hearing on a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Health Sciences and Technology, Tahe, Zamfara State. The bill is expected to help address what is known as the Japa syndrome in the health sector. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, was represented at the hearing by the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Primary Health Care, Senator Tony Nwonyi.
While this bill is out, despite our scarce resources, and will address the seeming migration of healthcare professionals, meaning Japa syndrome, by training new, younger ones, hungry to serve our dear nation, in line with government's commitment to transforming all critical sectors for our country. I want to state, without fear of internal contradiction, without fear of equivocation, that today, the doctors to patients ratio in Nigeria is among the lowest in the whole world. The WHO organization's status or benchmark is 1 doctor to 600 patients. But in Nigeria today, we have a ratio of 4 doctors to 10,000 patients.
Senator Akpabio further stated the need to establish more institutions which will not only strengthen and expand the existing healthcare sector, but would also position it to a more efficient healthcare delivery service to improve learning and research.
To train high-quality medical professionals.
Chairperson of the committee, Senator Ipalibo Banigo, had said that the committee will continue to enact laws, especially health laws, to meet the demands of citizens.
The bill seeks to establish a Federal University of Health Science and Technology in Safe, Zamfara State, by upgrading the existing College of Health Sciences and Technology to provide full-time courses in health sciences, technology, and other fields of studies, to train high-quality medical professionals with broad knowledge, skills, and values, to strengthen institutional capacity for disease control and surveillance, as well as bridging the gap in medical research and making provisions for the general administration of the university, among other related matters.
Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, who was represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Abubakar Nakwada, appreciated the Senate for recognizing the need for the establishment of the university.
This initiative reflects the National Assembly's commitment to uplifting the educational sector in Northwest region. Our sincere appreciation also goes to our distinguished Senator Ikra Aliu Bilbis for this invaluable contribution and efforts that have brought us to this critical juncture. The realization of this university will create additional opportunities for higher education for our secondary school leavers and graduates from other tertiary institutions in Zamfara State and across the nation.
The efforts of National Assembly.
On his part, Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, who was represented by Director of Hospital Services Department, Dr. Jimo Salauddin, stated that increasing the capacity of workers was commendable. Other stakeholders at the event lent their voices in support and appreciation to the Senate for the bill. In another public hearing, the Senate Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund listened to stakeholders' opinion as it considered enactment of 5 tertiary institution-related bills. The bills are Federal University Birnin Kebbi State Establishment Bill 2024, Nigerian Institute of Mining and Geosciences Repeal and Enactments Bill 2024, Federal College of Aviation Technology Ilara Remo Ogun State Establishment Bill 2024, Federal University of Applied Sciences, Manchok, Kaduna State Establishment Bill 2024, and Federal University of Technology, Laro, Ogun State Establishment Bill 2024. The event, which took place at the National Assembly Complex in Abuja, had in attendance the Senate President, Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, represented by Senator Olubenga Daniel, other senators, traditional rulers, among other stakeholders. In his welcome address, Senate President Godswill Akpabio stated that it is a global best practice for authorities to continually assess available opportunities for citizens in locations and seek ways of remedying them through appropriate government actions.
I am confident that greater input is expected from you as Nigerians, most especially stakeholders in the education sector and representatives of the host communities who are in a better position to air their views on the need to establish these schools, as well as the benefit derived from the institutions. On its part, the Senate will not relent in giving Nigerians impactful legislations in ensuring access to education for all across the country.
Furthermore, the Senate President assured Nigerians that the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund will consider the memoranda sent in by organizations and associations to serve as basis for the actualization of various institutions. Chairman of the committee, Senator Muntari Dandutse, noted that the agenda of the 10th Senate is focused on advancing education, technology and industry in Nigeria through the establishment of reformation of key educational institutions.
I urge all stakeholders, including education experts, industry leaders, community representatives, and concerned citizens to actively participate and share their insight. Your contribution are invaluable to ensure that this legislation meets the need and aspiration of our people.
Some of the sponsors of the bill made presentations at the hearing on the need for these institutions.
Our urgent need to establish the Federal University of Applied Sciences, Manchok, is underscored by the stark reality that despite the significant population of my senatorial district, the opportunities for tertiary education are severely limited. Many of our ambitious students are forced to seek tertiary education outside the state.
We are not. And looking at the discrepancies currently going on between the award of degrees between HND and the university degree, you would know that it's quite worrisome. Where you would be describing that an HND holder is not on the same level with a BSc holder.
Establishing the Federal University of Mining and Geosciences, JOS, will enable Nigeria build the domestic human capacity, knowledge and skills required for the development of the mining sector.
Stakeholders present at the hearing also presented their arguments for the bills under consideration.
Not only will we support this bill, but to also support that this bill should make a pronouncement as to the location of this proposed university, and I dare say that there is no better place to put it than the home of mining in Nigeria, the home of peace and tourism.
If we say today that that location on the map of Nigeria has no federal presence in terms of university, I want to be careful to say that it's a big omission, and I'm happy with this 10th Assembly for receiving our bill.
We have very good collaboration with Takoradi Technical University in Ghana. We've been doing a lot of collaborative work in a way to propel engineering resource of the Polytechnic. So if the bill is finally approved, it simply means that the senatorial districts will have the only federal university in that Ogun West.
The committee has promised to work on the various bills, taking stakeholders' submissions into consideration.
That was a review of education-related legislations as considered by the Senate in the period under review. Let's take a break here to open our Senate notebook. Don't go away.
A legislative Hansard is the transcript of the daily legislative proceedings of a parliament, particularly within Britain and other Commonwealth countries. It is named after a British printer, Thomas Curzon Hansard, the first official printer of the British Parliament. In the Nigerian Senate, it is produced verbatim by the official reporters of the Senate, who are positioned in the chamber to monitor legislative proceedings. One of the basic advantages of the Hansard is that it helps in the recording of legislative documents as well as archiving. And because chamber proceedings are in most cases open to the public, the Hansard affords the lawmakers the opportunity to assess their past contributions on the floor with a view to improving upon them, amongst other things.
You're still watching Inside the Senate, bringing you highlights from the activities of the Red Chamber of the National Assembly. Senator Abba Moro is a Nigerian educational administrator, politician, and former Minister of Interior. He was elected into the Senate in 2019 to represent Benue Northeast Senatorial District. We recently caught up with him to hear his views on recent happenings in the country. For a start, he spoke on the local government autonomy pronouncement by the Supreme Court.
The pronouncement of the Supreme Court today is a vindication of the position that I have held all along when I said that local government should be granted autonomy. You will recall that at that time I also informed the Senate that I had frantically made efforts to convince my governor that dissolving a democratically elected council was an aberration and against the grain of the Section 7.1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And on the basis of that, the Senate unanimously adopted my motion to condemn it and to ask them to reverse it. Much more importantly, in one of my prayers, I insisted that because caretaker committees are unconstitutional and illegal, the federal government should not release funds to those illegal contractions of government, of the governors. And at that time, about 17 states in Nigeria were operating the caretaker committee system, which was against the Constitution, a violation of the Constitution by governors that swore to uphold the Constitution. And so I'm very, very happy and excited that the Supreme Court of Nigeria today has put paid to all those who had been castigating me. I was playing somebody's script, I was doing this and the rest of it.
The senator also commented on the state of affairs at the local government level, expressing dismay particularly at the conduct of elections at this level of government.
All council chairmen will be won by one party that is in power. All councillors' seats will be won by the governor of a state that is in power and the rest of them. All those things will have to stop. Because I believe that if we allow an effective local government system, you don't even need the state. No, you don't even need the state. So we must ensure the survival of the local government system, because that is the government that is closest to the people. That's the government that can impact on the life of the people more directly than governors sitting at state capitals and lording it over the communities.
On the state of the economy and welfare of Nigerians, the senator had this to say.
I'm happy that you have noticed that the 10th Senate has always shown concern about the worsening economic situation of the Nigerian people. We are representatives of the people, and what affects the people affects us. And so it is not surprising, therefore, that the Senate is taking steps towards ensuring that the food crisis situation, the insecurity that you just mentioned now, the rising cost of food items in the markets and the rest of that, that's exactly what we're doing. As a matter of fact, some of us have contemplated going back to those days of price control and the rest of them, because it's becoming increasingly embarrassing as a nation that the prices of food items are going up or skyrocketing by the day. And so with the efforts that are being made now and on this point, in spite of, without prejudice of my position as a minority leader, I want to say that the desire of the government, the federal government, to procure fertilizers and distribute to farmers through the governors and the National Assembly members is a welcome development. And I want to thank him to continue to develop the courage to do the right thing all the time for the benefit of Nigerians. And so if insecurity comes down, that the Senate has been clamoring for, if the federal government and representatives of the people come together to make provision for farm inputs and the rest of them, and the people can very freely go to their farms, I believe that we can stem the tide of the deteriorating economic situation. That is why I support the government's direction, and I hope sincerely that it will give our people the necessary leeway to withstand the impending danger of food insecurity.
Those were excerpts from the brief interview we had with Senator Abba Moro, one-time Minister of Interior in Nigeria. Inside the Senate continues with our profile segment. Keep watching.
Senator David Jim Kuta is the current senator representing Taraba South Senatorial District in the 10th Senate. He was born on July 11, 1980 in Jangir town of Bassa local government area, Plateau State. He attended Wukari East Primary School where he obtained his first school leaving certificate. His secondary education followed at Government Secondary School Wukari where he graduated in 1997. Senator Jim Kuta went on to earn a diploma in marketing from the prestigious University of Jos in 2002. Senator Jim Kuta began shaping his entrepreneurial identity early on, starting as a commercial motorcycle rider. His first venture involved importing used cars from Benin Republic in 2003. And through unwavering dedication and determination, what started as a small-scale endeavor has since flourished into a multi-million naira enterprise with global partnerships. This thriving company now supplies brand new vehicles to governments, corporations, and individuals alike. Senator David Jim Kuta's business acumen led him to diversify his portfolio, expanding into sectors such as oil and gas, construction, and the agricultural value chain, generating numerous direct and indirect job opportunities, and held the position of chairman in enterprises like Victoria Global International Limited, Victoria Global Energy Services Limited, Jim K Services International, and Jim K Logistics, a registered logistics company operating in Houston, Texas, United States of America. In 2011, Senator David Jim Katu contested for the Takum 1 State House of Assembly seat under the banner of the then Action Congress of Nigeria (ACN), but unfortunately lost the election. Senator Jim Kuta assumed the role of National Coordinator for the Northern Minorities Movement, a political pressure group focused on advancing the interests of minority ethnic groups in northern Nigeria, fostering regional development and growth. Senator David Jim Kuta contested for the Senate seat representing Taraba South under the APC and won the elections to represent his senatorial district. A round peg in a round hole, he was also appointed as the chairman, Senate Committee on Poverty Alleviation and Social Development. His legislative interests lie in the areas of security, agriculture, youth empowerment, and community development.
With that, we draw the curtains on this episode of Inside the Senate. Feel free to connect with us via our social media platforms showing on your screen to watch all episodes of Inside the Senate. Join me again next week for a fresh edition of the program. Until I come your way again, stay safe.